Tonight, we begin an occasional series about people living with autism and other spectrum disorders, A Place in the World. While reporting the history of autism for their book, In a Different Key, The Story of Autism, co-authors John Donvan and Karen Zucker found a program in Phoenix, Arizona that expands options for people living with autism. This is the first of 2 reports.
Why is it a big deal that Josh Kluger gets up every morning and makes his own breakfast and straightens up the place a little, and then remembers, belatedly, to go back and grab his lunch before he heads off to work, which takes a quarter-mile hike, texting all the way, before he reaches the bus stop, and then a 45-minute trip with 1 transfer along the way. And when I come on board and Josh shows me how to swipe my ticket, and it comes back?
Yes.
Why is that a big deal? Because until last year, Josh had experienced none of this. No apartment, no paying job, no bus pass even. Actually, he'd never ridden a bus on his own before last year.
How old are you now?
I'm 36.
You only really began being able to ride the bus when you were already over 30.
I think so, yes.
What did you have to learn?
Oh, I learned how streets.
And though Josh is not the chattiest person around, except perhaps when he's texting,
I'm so confused.
you can tell from his stride and from his air of confidence about where he's heading that Josh really likes the life he has right now.
Is this ours?
Yes.
Okay.
And that he's going to keep going with it, autism or not. With autism, it's usually been the kids whose faces we see when the topic is discussed. Children like these. We root for their success in school and on the playground, and we've come to recognize that even a little boy like this one, who may look disconnected and whose autism keeps him from speaking many words, nevertheless can sing, and therefore also has something to say.
That's me. Is that Jake or?
Yes, Jake, which one's yours?
That's not me.
But the kids grow up inevitably, so that the boys whose photos you just saw, they've become these men. We gathered them together to make a point. This one is now 19-year-old Dylan, and this little boy, called Stuart, he's now 22. Josh, you've met, he's 36. This kid, he's 21 now, and named Ian. Craig, he's a 26-year-old now, and Jake, he grew into a man also. He's 22.
Cheese pizza!
And the point is, adults don't get nearly the attention and support the kids do, maybe because they're not as cute or because people forget that autism is lifelong. But it is, and that fact is the driving idea behind a new pilot program called First Place Transition Academy, located in Phoenix, Arizona, in which these same young men are today the pioneers.
Looks really good.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then if you could just, are you gonna mix it with anything?
Tongs. If you have any tongs.
Yeah. Where would you find tongs at?
In the store.
In the store?
There are 9 of them in all, paired off together in a cluster of apartments in a complex where their neighbors are mostly retirees who have no autism connection. They eat together and learn together. 2 years of specialized training designed to improve their odds of having, let's call it, a successful adulthood. Which means what?
And what donuts would you like for that one?
Well, take Ian, who is now holding down a paying job arranged for by the program, showing that he can be good at customer service.
I got the lemonade and morning buzz.
Social interactions can be enormously challenging for people on the spectrum. That's part of the reason that unemployment among autistic adults hovers near 80%.
Hello, how's it going?
Pretty good, how you doing?
Not long ago, that included Ian, who is an unfailing optimist.
Before you came here, where were you? Were you in high school?
I was in my parents' house for at least 2 years. I enrolled, and here I am now, a year later. I am satisfied with my future.
What is your future? Do you know?
It's hard to predict right now, but it's a brief idea. I'd like to live in an apartment, pay my own rent, have my own car, and have a career, in other words. Because the part-time jobs is kind of tedious, but it's my main focus for now.
Well, that's all about learning how to do jobs, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
The other men go to other workplaces, a garden that raises produce for sales to restaurants.
Awesome.
An animal shelter, which happens to be a volunteer job, but that doesn't matter. Knowing how to be professionally responsible and productive does, like being on time for work, dressing correctly for the situation, completing tasks assigned reliably. These are learned skills that do not necessarily come easily to all members of the group because of their autism.
So on the worksheet, guys, you are putting a check mark for the items that you're going to need to purchase in your first apartment.
And support staff literally imparts lessons on the logistics of adult life, like this session, held in a lecture hall made available by Gateway Community College. It's a class on how to navigate the options available in public transport, how to get from here to there, with quizzes.
Ian, other ones?
Exact fare required.
Exact fare required.
When it comes to successful adulthood, it's this sort of mundane-seeming know-how that in fact can be crucial.
How important is that to their success in this program?
Yeah, it's critical. You know, it's one of the skills that we target really early on. I mean, again, this is the thing that's going to allow them to access employment. It's going to allow them to access different social activities, different quality of life things.
So getting around is key to independence then?
Absolutely, it's critical.
Which brings us back to Josh. That 45-minute commute of his landed us here.
So this is your place of work, huh?
Yes.
Wow.
Josh works for the Arizona Diamondbacks baseball team. He and another member of the group named Jake. They've been cycling through a variety of jobs here, some in the office upstairs, and now they're getting their hands dirty with grounds maintenance.
Josh, you're not a big baseball fan,
I'm not. I don't like sports a lot.
but you're a work fan. It sounds like you really love this job.
Anyway.
In a way. Oh,
The truth.
Okay, but he loves being a working man, even though his boss here, Marion Rhodes, says it has not always been smooth.
We had a thing with his badge, that he was losing his badge constantly. I said, "Where's your badge?" And he's like, "I left it here," or whatever. And I said, I had to explain to him, your badge is like the key to your home. Mm-hmm. That's the key to our ballpark. So if you lose it, someone has the key to access our building at any time. And I said, so what's the answer here? We now have him drop the badge off in the morning and pick the badge up. And so he hasn't, now he's always clocked in and clocked out.
But that's what learning is about.
are you willing to let these guys make mistakes more than you would other people?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And why is that important?
You have to meet them where they are.
Josh's mom has been astounded by the change she's seen in the past 12 months.
There are so many ways that he has changed and grown, that he's going to school, he's learning classes, he's taking responsibilities for his homework, he's taking responsibility for his budgeting.
This is all new.
This is all new.
This is something he's learned as a middle-aged man.
As a middle-aged man.
Wow.
The growth has been amazing. It's really been amazing.
If Josh were not here, where would he be in life?
At our house, doing probably the same thing and not being very happy. And I don't know what his future would have been.
And back at the apartment complex, you can see how these guys, some of whom had no friends to speak of before in their lives, are learning to help each other out. They are, in short, a community. And while this pilot project has enrolled only men, who today make up roughly 80% of people recognized as autistic, the full program will grow to include women as well. But now something needs to be said about that group shot we started with, and in particular about the man on the lower right. He was once that singing boy, and in fact he does not live with the other men. He can't, because his autism affects him differently from the others, but there is a place being built in Phoenix that will also have room for him. That story in part 2, tomorrow.